G'day and welcome to Believe in Fantasy. I am your host, Matty G. Joining me for this one is my perfect pair. His name is D-Mac. You know him as NBA Fantasy Bible. We are talking perfect pairs. You're in basketball. You've known about him. Michael Jordan. Of course, he had his Robin. His name was Scottie Pippen, Batman and Robin. Perfect pairs. Shaq and Penny, Shaq and Kobe, Dwayne and LeBron, or LeBron and Luka right now. Is that going to be one of the perfect pairs in our show? I don't think so, because we are talking first round draft strategies. Who can you pair your first round pick with to make the most juice out of your NBA fantasy team? Let's do it right here on Believe. Wine and Cheese, D-Mac and Kayla, D-Mac and Matty. D-Mac, how are you?
Good, mate. Good to be on. Perfect pair. Can't wait.
This whiskey and ice, also a delicious and perfect pair for this very
perfect.
Look, it's
what's imperfect is I don't have one myself, so I am envious, my friend.
Mate, you were drinking water, and that's just a losing game for losers. No, I'm kidding. You're a winner, but it is 10:30 at night. We've just done an amazing show, a big breakdown of the Fantrax Top 50. If you haven't checked that show out on Believe yet, make sure you do. This is the perfect pairs. We broke down in that show. D-Mac, what are you noticing just really quickly about the first round in fantasy basketball this year?
Yeah, the top five seems to be pretty solid across all platforms. So we're seeing the usual suspects, Jokic, SGA, Wemby, of course. Then you've got Luka, and then Giannis tends to be the guy in fifth. So that's pretty consensus at the moment. And from 6 till 12, it's a tough one. It's a slog. There's a lot of great options, some better than others. But yeah, the top five is easy one.
Yeah, it is. And this is all about, like, what do you do after that? Like, you might have a little bit of a breathe out at that point in time, and just have a little bit of a wonder about what you're doing with your fantasy for your next pick. And, you know, it starts to move really, really quickly, and you need a plan when you're going in. I'm a believer. I said it last year. I wasn't proved wrong. Jokic is, for me, the number one player in fantasy. I love Jokic. I remember when I was faced with a tough choice in my young fantasy days, where I could have picked up a hot Denver Nugget free agent by the name of Yusuf Nurkic or Nikola Jokic. And I chose Joker, and I still do today. And his perfect pair is none other than a Western Conference rival. They've had some incredible battles over the years. I'm going to call this is one of my favorite pairs in fantasy basketball straight off the rip. This is the Jokic perfect pair with LeBron James, D-Mac.
It's a beautiful perfect pair. Obviously, we are looking at 12-teamers, so keep that in mind when we are looking at these perfect pairs. But you get Jokic at 1. I'm assuming this is 1, possibly at 2.
Possibly
at 3.
LeBron
coming around at 24. I like it.
Or in the second round. So this show is not a mutually exclusive relationship. This is not a mutually exclusive relationship with your second round pick, because this could be your third round pick, and you could choose to have the best available person. I'm going to preface it and say there should be wiggle room, because the one thing that I'm all about in fantasy drafting is, like, you need to be reflexive and have a plan and be able to move off that plan really carefully. D-Mac, I think we say you can't win your draft. You can't win your league on draft day. I don't think you can necessarily lose it, but you can definitely put yourself in a massive spot of disadvantage if you don't prepare for what can happen.
Yeah, huge disadvantage. And I think that's the beauty of doing mock drafts, and just getting you comfortable with being uncomfortable is a term that I like to use as well. But just playing out different scenarios and mocking from different draft positions, perhaps you know where your league, where you'll be drafting as well. So make sure you practice, but just change it up. Go into some public leagues, because there's some crazy picks as well. So just be comfortable with being uncomfortable. But I like these pairs, because if you have a plan in mind, you could go one way or the other, then really it's going to be foolproof. You're going to be hard to beat.
And this is the thing, like, you should focus in on the 3 things that person is best at, and kind of not – and we're not saying ignore these things. Oh, but Matty, but I've got to win everything. No, you don't need to bloody win everything. We're talking category leagues here. What you need to win, generally speaking, is you need to be winning 5 out of 4 every single week, or as many as possible. So with Jokic, you're kind of punting 3 points made on blocks. But Matty, LeBron's making more threes. Yeah, that's great. This is where it's good. But what you want to lean into is points, rebounds, and assists. And this is what LeBron James does. And if we have a look at the current ADP data of everything as well, what we start to notice very, very quickly, D-Mac, is that when we get to players in the second round here, LeBron James, who had an absolutely incredible season last year, his ADP data as well, he finished as the 13th player. He gives you a field goal percentage of plus 500. That is complimentary. His assists, 8.2, are elite. His rebounds are very good, are good at 7.8. His points at 24.4 are very good. He doesn't get you the threes. The free throw percentage is in alignment. This is someone who you can definitely compliment. But now we're also seeing in the ADP draft data, as we had a look through this year, this is the current ADP data. He is going at 24.5. So this is definitely someone who you could possibly look to pick up with 33 minutes a game with the Lakers. Mate, it's a really nice pair to be making out at this point in time.
Absolutely. You look at those Z scores as well, and the red and the green, of course, hashtag basketball. Shout out to you guys. Thank you, Joey, as well. But he's got real no negatives, apart from turnovers, which, as you guys know, I love to punt anyway, so I completely disregard those ones. He's got no real negatives, and we think of LeBron as being a punt free throw guy. Yeah, 78% is not ideal, but it's not going to kill you. That is recoverable. You can recover from that. Jokic is okay. He doesn't get you super high volume on free throws, but he's not hurting you as well. Hopefully you can get someone later on who can boost that, because late in drafts, it is quite difficult to get those elite free throws as well. But neither of these guys hurt you anywhere. They just support you and buoy you in so many different categories.
And overall, that's an average field goal percentage of 540, which is very, very good in fantasy basketball. Like, if you're hitting above 500, you're very competitive. If you're at 540, that is absolutely outstanding. Now, Jokic is a good free throw shooter at 800. LeBron is worse. He takes 4.7 attempts a game last year. But again, you can buoy this later on in your draft with high volume to offset that. So you would find your targets in drafts that are high volume free throw shooters that can make up for some of that deficiency of LeBron James. He is a really nice pair you can get at the end of the second round, even at the beginning of the third round, and you can make a really great pivot move. The next thing with consensus ADP data right now, and this is someone who we've just done the show. D-Mac, you might have the data fresh there. I might even bring it up right here. It is this guy. It is Jamal Murray and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We have just had the summer of Shai. And this is why we say this is not a mutually exclusive to the second round or the third round, because we've already started to see, mate, that there's been a little bit of, we want to say shame on the name, but there's been a few people right now who are already down on Jamal Murray this season, but he had an incredible run last year, and he can signify value come your fantasy draft.
Absolutely. So Fantrax ADP data has him at 42.6, ESPN 38.8. He was much better than that per game last season. He was fairly durable. We know that he plays really well with Jokic. The team, yes, we've got Cam Johnson there, no more Michael Porter Jr., but I don't think that's going to impact these other guys very significantly. So I just think that's a value pick. So like you said, not exclusive as a second rounder, perhaps a third. You're probably not going to get him in the fourth round. So you could look at him in the third round.
That's the crazy thing. You can right now. This is the current projections and ADP data from hashtag basketball. He's currently at 53.7 on ADP. That's not second round. That's not third round. Heck, it's not even fourth round. This is a guy who has gone into the fifth round currently in drafts, who's expected, according to hashtag basketball's projections. Now, these are only projections at 18, but still that's a second round projection. So he stuffs that up and he lands in the third or the fourth round. Cool. His ADP right now is in the fifth round. So if you want him on your radar, he's a really good compliment. He signifies, one, value, which you know that I'm all about, know that you're all about. That is really, really sexy. So to get that value from Jamal Murray in your third round, especially if you're drafting from 2 or 3 and taking Shai, you're getting someone in the second round, whoever you want, best on board, who's maybe a hotter name, and then you're backing that up with Jamal Murray. That's a really nice compliment.
Yeah, that efficiency just gets me super excited. I like it from both of them. Obviously, elite levels from SGA, but man, Jamal Murray's not that far behind in terms of that overall efficiency.
What does Kinder Bueno ice creams get you super excited? Did you tap into those last night, by the way?
Mate, I did, and I know you recommended it. I still haven't had Bueno.
No.
Muy bueno, not very bueno. But
No.
there's some time. Late night run. It's only 8:30 where I am. Didn't get there last night, mate. No,
You've been too sick, D-Mac. You've been too sick.
I have. But I've been charging people for the throaty, the nice voice, the sexy voice.
Did you say did you say you've been charging people for the throaty?
Yeah.
Let's not. You're not allowed.
Oh no, not for those throaties.
Robin's going to have to mark this as the $4.95 a minute kind of YouTube stream. The third pick then, if Shay's going off at number 2, is Wemby. Now I'm putting AD here for a very curious reason, because I love to absolutely stuff your mates up and piss them off. I really like to make people mad. It's not because I really relish it. I do. I relish it. I actually like to mess with people for no reason at all, apart from the fact that I think it's fun. And if you're drafting Victor Wembanyama, you are going to want a Jaren Jackson Jr. type. You're going to want a Miles Turner type later on. We all know the builds that it goes with. It's the block heavy kind of guys. The thing is this, it's AD. And this is a perfect complement if you're drafting in the first round late. These are 2 signifier guys who you can bring into it. Now, I've just touched on Miles Turner there. We know guys like Chet Holmgren is a nice pick later on, especially in drafts with his current ADP data. But we're looking to punt. Now, D-Mac, I want to be clear. Your punting field goal percentage, if you take Wemby, he is not efficient from the floor. Let's not think that he's efficient from the floor. Let's not kid ourselves that this bloke is 7 foot bloody something and can put the ball in the basket whenever he chooses. He is not the most elite from the floor center we have in the NBA by any way, shape, or form. In fact, last year, just to call it how it is, he was at 476. That's average. Purely average. And if you look at projections for whatever year you want to be, he can go wherever he wants to be. He's still not going to be there right now. And in fact, I know for a fact that the projections over on #basketball have him well down, funnily enough as well, which was very, very interesting off the early data. I was very surprised to see where he was ranked over there. That's not going to be a spoiler alert, and you deserve to go and check out their stuff and see it. But for me, what I'm very curious by is if you get AD, do you like to mess with people and take Jaren Jackson Jr. off the board to clear him out there, to screw up that punt, like that really heavy blocks build? Because that's what they both have in common, D-Mac. They both have, you lean into blocks, points, and rebounds. Now, Jaren Jackson Jr. doesn't rebound well, but the points and the blocks he brings you, and you can try and get rebounds elsewhere in the third round quite easily.
Yeah, we talk about Wemby winning you a category by himself, and that is blocks. But if you are able to get AD and Jaren Jackson Jr., you're super competitive already with whoever has taken Wembanyama. You're probably asking the wrong person, because as a lot of my audience like to know and know about me, I'm not a huge punt guy, but a lot of these guys are soft punt guys. So we talk about Wemby being a punt field goal guy. Yes, it's average at 47.6. He's not killing you, but in that center position, getting additional centers, trying to also offset that with some other positions, particularly with positional scarcity, it is somewhat difficult to be elite in field goals if you do have Wembanyama. Again, it's not a hard punt. It is a soft punt there, but I get it. But I love the pairing. I love AD. I love JJJ. People are off on JJJ. And like you said, we looked at the ADPs earlier in the different episode. Make sure you check that out. You can get him in the second round. You can probably even get him in the third round of category league. So if you can do that build, you do that, and you are super competitive in blocks straight off the bat.
And this is the whole thing sorted by last year's metrics on blocks. So what I've done right here is I've sorted through the best block players, where they finish the season, where they want to go. And you can get guys though, but it's about complementary builds. So yeah, you can get Walker Kessler and later on in your leagues to offset it, but he also then kooks your free throw percentage, and he kooks your points a little bit, and you want to get the points. Anthony Davis, if you look at the blocks per game here, the only players to average 2 blocks per game or more last year were Miles Turner, again, highly complimentary. And this is the wonderful thing about Miles Turner. He's on the list right here. He's the one who's the first one in the list that's gray. He is the most average bloke in the world last year. 6.6 rebounds. Yeah, it's good. Oh, no, but you suck at assist, 1.5 a game. Everything else is average for him in fantasy basketball, apart from his elite blocks per game at 2. And here's the bottom of the blocks per game ladder. Climbing that ladder, Chet Holmgren, who we've already seen fall in drafts, you can get him in the 3rd or 4th round this year, which is really interesting. Now, if you back up Wemby with Jaren Jackson Jr. and then Chet, you're laughing. The thing is this, you're also punting field goal percentage with Chet and with these guys. So that fits into that build very nicely. This is where I say it's the punt free throws with AD. AD is a 775. He is an average free throw shooter at best. Let's call it that, or good if you're being generous. But this is where you're still getting those higher level of blocks, because then you start to move into the 1.6 zone, and you can see down here the amount of players that average between 2 blocks a game and 1.5 is only 10. It's your Lopez's, it's your Gaffords, it's your Mobleys, who's your 2nd or 3rd round guy, who I really love in the 2nd round as well. So if you can't get Triple J, my pivot tactic here is to lean into Evan Mobley, especially if you're with that AD build, with the punting free throw percentage. I love that. Then you're getting guys late like Klingon or Kristaps, who slid down ladders. But it's Jaren Jackson Jr. here that's complimentary, that we really like to see, and that we can probably bring into our teams a little bit easier in that 2nd round, because we think he might take a bit of a leap this year with the Memphis Grizzlies, mate.
Yeah, I think so. It'll be a slower start for him. He's probably coming into the season injured, but I still like that pairing. I really do like it. And if you can't get those, and we'll talk about it with some other pairings as well, there are some decent options later on in drafts as well. But using that build as a template for later on in the draft, I think it bodes well.
And this is where you're saying, like, these guys you want to get in the 2nd or the 3rd round and see where you go to complement it, because you shouldn't then be like, this is all I'm going to get in my draft. Like, do not do that. Like, do not do that. There's 2 things. There's 2 things. There's one thing you shouldn't do, and there's one thing you should do. The thing you should not do, the thing you absolutely shouldn't do, is lean too hard into your punt. Now, I did that on the mistake show. I know it dropped earlier in the week on Believe in Fantasy. If you can just be like, I'm only going to get all the blocks, I'm only going to get all the rebounds, I'm only going to get all the field goal percentage, you're only getting 3 categories. And that's great. Like, you lean into them to build, but you need to fill the other cups. You know, it's like there's a whole thing about a university professor, right, who said, here's 2 mugs. This one's filled with stones, and then I put sand in it, and then dirt and whatever, and I filled it up, and it was full, and its life was great. And this one was sucked, and it was empty. That's you if you do that. So that's what you shouldn't do. The one thing you should
pay attention to value as well, mate.
Oh, you need to pay attention to value. It's absolutely huge, because the one thing you should do is make sure you log in to the below links to Believe in Fantasy, to become an MVP member. Be an MVP. Be your number 1 draft pick on draft day by getting the best intel you can. I'm there in the community. D-Mac's there in the community. Robin's there in the community. We've got a question and answer show every single week. We get back to you. We're really hands-on. We're even looking at a possible giveaway of giving away, we being with you on your NBA draft, to hold your hand live in studio, to give you the very best advice to help you absolutely crush the souls and of your team, of all your opponents, and then sprinkle them on your breakfast cereal to win your championship in fantasy basketball, D-Mac. Make sure you check the links below, become a Believe in Fantasy MVP member.
I believe, mate. I believe. When I was talking about value, make sure that even when you are punting, and like we said, we don't really like the hard punt because you then tend to struggle in the other categories. Just keep an eye out for value. You don't want to grab these guys and you turn punts on in #basketball or basketball monster. Go, oh, well, okay, Gobert is actually the 30th ranked guy. If I punt this and punt that, you still need to look at that value as well. And don't overdraft guys. Otherwise, you get yourself into a pickle and you're going to really struggle for the rest of the draft.
Yeah, and that's the thing you don't want to do. Like, don't bend over backwards, like, to be so fixed in your mindset that you have to take who you have to take. No, because if you can pivot, man. You can pivot off your draft day tactics really easy and get a lot of return. And that's what you want to look for. Let's get to the next one. This is one that I know might be controversial for some people, but I'm actually all for it. And I think that I'm onto something early, D-Mac, and I'm going to call it how it is. I'm really into Tyler Hero this draft, and I'm not overtly into him, but mixing him up with Luka, who is widely regarded as the 4th pick right now, this is a free throw build that people might punt the percentages. Now, although Tyler Hero is an outstanding free throw percentages, we're talking about what Luka's punt is. So what this does instantly is if you are punting field goal percentage, it stays with that, but this is where you spoke about earlier, brother. This is where you get some of that value back in other areas from other players. So you'd be like, oh, he's not great at this and this. Okay, cool. Then all the players I have to suck at that. No. They might just be okay at sucking at one of those two things. And that's okay, which is what Tyler Hero isn't that great at. You lean into points, you lean into assists, you lean into 3 points made. And I like Tyler Hero this year, man. Like I'm kind of getting a little bit soapboxy on him.
I love Hero as well. He's in my Dynasty League. I think I've spoken about him. He helped me win last season's 30 deep. It's interesting, and I know we're going to get comments around a punt free throw build when you've got Tyler Hero, who is elite. He is considered really good with free throws, shooting 87.8 from the stripe. You're going to get some hate, but
it's not. It's because you're not punting that. Like you're punting what. If you're punting that entirely, if you disregard it, like what you just want to suck at free throws, entirely give that category to your opponents every single week. No, you want to get a guy who averages 4.3 to help you offset that, which is exactly what Tyler Hero averaged last year. He averaged 4.3 free throws at 878. That helps to buoy up that percentage because Luka is so heavy at the free throw line that it weighs him down. Like Luka is at 7.9. Now he's not bad at it. That's the thing. He's average at it. He is 782 last year at 7. So instantly you're taking half of the amount of him, you're putting it over 800, you make yourself competitive. You get someone else who's really good at it, all of a sudden you're in the mid 800s on free throw percentage. That's what you should be doing. At the same time as feeding the one weakness of field goal percentage, but strengthening the weaknesses, like maybe without telegraphing it so much to your opponents.
Starting to sound like a nice balance as well, but I like the pair.
Is that what you do, D-Mac, the balance thing?
It is. I love balance, and it sounds like I may have a new convert on my side, but we'll talk about that in a later episode.
I'm already there, man. You can call me Thanos, like everything, perfectly balanced. You know what I mean? Like I'm the Thanos build. Everyone's like, you got to punt or perish. I'm like, no, you don't, because what happens if your two main punt guys go down injured for the year, and it's not going to go well for you. You got to really have to, like, if you can imagine, if you're punting any of these two guys straight away and you ignore the other categories, you will perish if you ignore other categories. What you want to do is find ways to maybe focus in on one weakness. It's like, the old video games, like, remember the Time Crisis video games back in the day? Or,
I'm
like
more
those.
A duck hunt guy. That's showing my age, but yeah.
Perfect. Duck hunt. Not relevant to the conversation. Thanks, mate. Good help. Do you remember the games that, like, you'd be in an arcade and you'd come to the end of level boss? Like, the fighting games and stuff where like, this is the one weakness. It's a critical hit. And it'd be like at the throat. So you got to get the gun and go, pew, 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 and you got to hit the throat. That's exactly what punt building should be like. You should be like this big ass monster, but with one weakness. That's that. Because everything else you've done has complemented all the other weaknesses around. You've built this big ass boss of a team. That's what you want to do. And you want to go pew, 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 pew at the one weakness, but they're trying to get you back on the one weakness, but you're like, oh, they're really strong. Might lose a life or two here. And that's what you want to do. And if you ignore everything, well, that's your fault as a manager. Because the next one is where it gets really controversial, because this is one of the most fun builds you can do. But you're punting two things really hard. You are like, you can punt free throw percentage and here we go. Popular. This is a popular one. This is the leaning points, rebounds, and field goal percentage. Punting free throw percentage is really popular. It can be volatile. I have seen incredible free throw shooters, D-Mac, miss free throws, and we're just left scratching our heads.
Absolutely, and we'll see this a fair bit. And that's a hard punt free throws, but Yeah, the reason why I'm an advocate of balance, and look, it's fantastic. You are going to be dominant in so many areas, but you're going to struggle with threes. Turnovers is of concern. Points, yeah, look, it's going to be really strong. Rebounds is strong, of course. Field goals is strong, but those free throws and the threes, it's going to be hard to recover from when you're investing a top 1 and 2 pick in these guys. So I think that's a hard punt, but it's a very successful punt as well. You're going to be so dominant in all those other categories.
And this is why I think you and I come together on this one, because the one thing you're like, Matty, you're saying to lean into points, but Domantas Sabonis isn't the greatest point scorer. Yeah, I know. Stop being a jerk and telling me what I don't already know. Like, I know that. I know he's not great in punt. But what we're also trying to do is focus in on one weakness here, because Giannis scores so many points. This year, without Damian Lillard, he is going to have to carry so much of this team that at the end of the day, if we're leaning into that just a little bit, it comes back for us a little bit. Now, he averages 19 points a game. That by no means is bad. Like, 20 points a game as an average isn't bad. He might get you 12 some. He might get you 28 some. He will do that because that's what about 20 points a game looks like. It means that you'll be there and you'll see one game and he gets 12 and 9 and 8. And you're like, oh, geez, he didn't get that triple-double. It's really close. Getting a triple-double in basketball isn't that easy, despite what Russell Westbrook may make you think. But then he comes back the next game, gets 28, 14 rebounds, and 14 assists. And you're like, wow, what a huge line. And you're like, oh my gosh, look at what he did for me. That's the magical carpet ride that is Domantas Sabonis, especially in Sacramento this year. I know that you are a fan of thinking that there's a regression from old mate DeMar DeRozan this year. Yep. There you go. Domantas Sabonis last year finished 19th in category league, so he's a second-round player. He's about where you can get him. He is elite at rebounds a game at 13.9. Like, you were going to be in cruise control on rebounds after these two guys. You get two more guys, especially if you're in a one-center league. Like, you get him and Giannis is the power forward. You have that switchability for him. Like, that's ridiculous. You get one more that's really high and elite. Amazing. He's averaging about 6 assists a game, which was a little bit down for him last year. He doesn't complement the other areas of Giannis, which are steals and blocks. In fact, he's actually below average in steals, but you can get those back with some other steals-focused people in the 3rd and 4th and 5th round. So for me, though, if you're leaning into that, it's him. I'm going to hit another center up, though, because...
Before we move on, Matty, we were talking about the perfect pairs, but you could then say, look, yes, Sabonis may not get you elite points. You look down that ADP list, who else is going to fit this? Zion Williamson? Zion Williamson. Like, there's your point.
Later. There's your points. Get him later.
He's now going in the 60s on Fantrax. 60s.
Yeah.
So you can get him late. That boosts and buoys your points, and then that solidifies those other strengths that you have. Then you can start focusing on assists and steals and blocks as well. And man, that's a nice structure for your team.
There are some really crazy, like, if we're looking at guys like, let's focus on his, let's say field goal percentage guys. Like, if we're really looking at this, there's a whole bunch of guys you can get later on to boost that. You can pick up a Derek Lively late in drafts, like after 100, that's a field goal percentage, rebounds, and block specialist. You know what I mean? Like, you could pick up a Jarrett Allen in the 50s or a Jalen Duren in the 50s. You know, you can pick up those guys like really, really easily later on in your drafts. These are guys who are going to really help that. Rebounds per game, though, to what Domantas Sabonis does at a league. Let's call exactly how it is here. This is a league leading level of rebounds per game. Like, let's call it exactly what it is. Domantas Sabonis last year was the best rebounder in the NBA. He averaged 13.9 rebounds. So if you're starting to do that with Giannis, who's at 11.9, all of a sudden you have two of the best rebounders. Let me give you the names of the other best rebounders in the NBA. Karl Anthony Towns, who we're about to talk about. Jokic, well, he's already off the board. And you know that you might get this guy second, but you're going to draft him early. Maybe, maybe not. It's a possibility. Yeah, like, to be fair, Sabonis and Jokic, not bad. Zubac could see a regression this year. Are we taking him in the second or third round? Probably not. Walker Kessler, Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama, and then it's got Gobert and Hartenstein, all later round guys for rebounds who you can pick up. Because the next guy off the board in that one is Şengün and Jalen Duren or Mark Williams. Then we're looking at guys who are Jalen Johnson, who may not get 10 a game this year and who's injured most of the year. And we've got Vucevic, who I know that you're not a fan of, and DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton is the only other guy. And if you can pick up DeAndre Ayton then to complement this build later in your drafts, D-Mac, jeez, you've got it stitched up by rebounds and probably points, because he's probably like an 18 and 10 walking game each night, a DeAndre Ayton. And he's a better free throw shooter. So you kind of buoy that a little bit if you get some really elite guards with high volume along the way.
Yeah, I don't understand why there's so many people hating on Ayton. We spoke about this yesterday. I think he's a really nice mid to late round guy as well. And yeah, it complements the perfect pair that we spoke about.
We did mention this guy as well as one of the league leaders in rebounds. It's Karl Anthony Towns. He has solidified his value as a first-round target this year in NBA fantasy. We are looking to punt, assists, and blocks with him. Karl Anthony Towns, again, is one of the most divisive characters in basketball and in fantasy. D-Mac, would you say would be a kind way of saying it?
I think so. There's been a little bit of hate on him this season in terms of fantasy. In general, I think he gets a little flack, but he's a likable guy. I think he's a likable guy. But in terms of fantasy, that's what we're here for. I like his output, but we're seeing his ADP still in the top 10. And we spoke about that. It's actually higher than the top 10. But pair that with Kevin Durant, it's a very nice, efficient team, isn't it?
No, look, it's really efficient. And that's what I love about this. Like, we are looking at a team right here. If you can see Karl Anthony Towns, plus 500, plus 800. These are sexy numbers in fantasy. This is the thing about him. Look at what he does. It's about the most greens you can get. And if you look at, this is the crazy thing. If you think about it just by color, like if you're listening to this on audio right now, thank you, welcome. Like, do the thing where you like rate it and make a comment and like it. That's great. But make sure then you go then and watch the YouTube later and then check in at like the 32-minute marker where this is on the screen. And you can see the eliteness of these players. Elite is dark green. Bright green is very good. And general green is good. You look at the first round, guys. Jokic is elite at field goal percentage, rebounds, and assists. There is no first-round player that is actually elite in 3 categories or more. This is what we're talking about. There's no one who actually does that. Karl Anthony Towns, though, is your next one that's really bloody good, because you've got Shea, who's like elite at 8 attempts a game, and he's not even elite in assists. This is the crazy thing, man. We talk about Shea. He's not even elite for a point guard at assists, D-Mac.
That's right. And 3.1 for Karl Anthony Towns is not horrible. It's something that you can get later on in drafts. And yes, we'll discuss positional and statistical scarcity, particularly around assists. But yeah, starting off with Karl Anthony Towns, a lot of green. You talked about green, and green for me means money, and that means just winning leagues. But Karl Anthony Towns paired with Kevin Durant, again, a lot of greens across the board. Very good in a lot of categories.
And Karl Anthony Towns is going later in the first round, and Kevin Durant is going mid-ish, like 15 was the ADP data for him, was it not, earlier? So you can definitely pick him up around the turn, because if you're picking up Cat at 10 or 11 at the end of your draft, you can definitely snake back around to this bloke. He is, again, elite at the areas. They're almost identical in field goal percentage last year at 526 and 527, respectively. Both very good or good free throw shooters. That doesn't hurt you. Cat drops in some threes. Kevin Durant could possibly get a whole bunch more wide open ones this year. He is very good in that category. He is excellent. He's very good at points. And he also compensates for your playmaking. He actually is a good playmaker at 4.3 assists a game. He'll continue to seek the ball around the court. Karl Anthony Towns gets a bit of hate, like he is a ball stopper. He's just average 3 a game. But it does help. And then what you can really do is focus on some of those later round assist guys later to help offset that in your draft, D-Mac. And that's where you then start to make a little bit of that back to do a more balanced build as you would like and get some of those assist guys later in your draft.
Absolutely. And it is feasible that you get these guys in the first 2 rounds with Karl Anthony Towns, Fantrax ADP at the moment, 9.1. Kevin Durant sitting at 17.2 in Fantrax. So very feasible that you do end up with both of these guys.
Now, I want to preface this because this is an interesting conversation, because this is one of the new darlings of the first round of fantasy basketball this year. And we've had much discussion about Cade Gunningham and Trae Young, who's always been fringy first. This is the most interesting development in the current ADP data, and we've just broken down that show. I know this is a show that you might be hearing after that one. You might already have liked and subscribed to the channel, or you might not have, and this might be the first one you're hearing. Go back and check out our Fantrax Top 50 show that we've just done. D-Mac and I broke it down. These guys, it's just an absolute swath of point guards at the end of the first round. It's almost like you just it's like you're shaking like some boggle dice and just seeing what letters pop up, and it's like, oh, I can spell Trey. Oh, I can spell Cade. They actually share a whole bunch of the same letters as well.
Yeah, we saw that Cade is just pushing up and up in terms of ADP. But at the end of that first round, we spoke about Trey, we spoke about Steph. Devin Booker is now up there. Donovan Mitchell is not far behind those guys as well. And Cade's really solidified himself in the middle of that first round. You think about it, we will punt field goal percentage. Yes, Cade's not an out-and-out punt field goal guy, but with Trey, yes, that works. Punt turnovers, absolutely 100%. But that goes without saying. I say I'm not a punt guy. I disregard turnovers anyway, so maybe a somewhat lie that I don't punt. I punt turnovers, but
you punt turnovers so hard. I look at you and I'm looking at you drafting, and I'm like, what are you
like
doing?
I play 8-cat, my friend. I just do not care about turnovers.
It's just like you should just be like, can we make it an 8-cat league? It's like, can we please make it an 8-cat league just so you don't lose that one? Like, look at your eyes right now. You're like, yeah. It's
so
like
excited.
It's like you're pinging. It's like, oh, yeah, give me more of that. Give me more of the ACAT. These are guys you can get that we're seeing right now with the average ADP data that is creeping up and up right now. In fact, if you have a look at the current ADP data on these guys, this is where the rankings get really interesting from this year. Cade Gunningham has solidified himself anywhere all across the board right now. Like, we've seen him go at crazy, but he's kind of playing himself into first round value this year. He is a good free throw shooter. He's definitely going to be there at the end of the day. The thing is, the league leader Trae Young is the debate then. So these guys are going at the end, and what you want to do is complement that hard. They're both very good and absolutely elite at assists. They're averaging 9+ a game. The only other person to do that will be around your Tyrese Halliburtons. That's the thing. If you start looking at assists in your fantasy basketball, you're looking at Trae Young, Nikola Jokic, a guy who doesn't exist this year by the name of Tyrese, Cade Gunningham, and then you're looking to complement later on with guys like Isaiah Collier, Josh Giddey. That's about it. There's even your other higher like assist guys that are even on projections, and I've just brought them up for this year from #basketball, and it goes to say that you. I think I started saying this to you early on about the absolute like landmine that is point guards this year in fantasy basketball and the absence, and like about the new guard. This is it actually sort of by projections of #. And you can see it start to play out. It's Trey, it's Jokic, Halliburton's gone. Here he is. Goodbye, Tyrese. See you later, mate. It's Cade, first rounder. Collier. He hasn't even been drafted in leagues right now. So I'm not even going to discuss him because he's a late round flyer just to pepper that because of his atrocious field goal percentage and free throw percentage. Even though because of the amount of shots that he takes a free throw, if you're punting field goal percentage, he fits right into this late. He is a perfect like 10th rounder, 11th rounder for Trae Young.
Absolutely. 100%.
Like that's crazy. You're getting Josh Giddey in this bad boy. Hallow assists and rebounds are starting to come back your way because Trae doesn't get any of them. But it's Luka, it's Harden. And then it's guys we're going to mention like Brunson, Lillard, who doesn't exist, Sabonis, who we've already said is a center who you might want to partner up with that, Ja Morant. And then it's guys like Chris Paul. Like there's no other elite passes in the game. So what you want to do is you want to stitch up that elite ranking of assists very early on. And that makes you a little bit more comfortable so you can get guys who positionally get assists out of their position. And positional scarcity with those category scarcities really plays into it hard there.
Yep. And if you are fortunate enough to get these early point guards, then you're going to have guys in your league trying to scramble to draft these other guys in the third and the fourth, whereas you're sitting back getting some value on some of the wings and some of the bigger guys, and you are looking pretty. So perfect pairs is a thing. As much as I'd like to go, yep, I'm going for balance. If you start your draft with a nice perfect pair, it helps the rest of your draft just flow smoothly, and it helps you really dominate the draft. Like we said, you don't win your league on draft day. You don't necessarily lose it, but you can definitely disadvantage yourself if you don't know what you're doing with your perfect pairs.
Yeah, 100%. And what you want to be doing is you want to be complimenting these guys. And if you can stitch up 2 guys very early on who are elite, it just makes you more comfortable. It takes the stress out of it. Like, okay, I've got a couple of these guys. What else do I need? Like, that's the question you need to ask yourself on draft day. What else do I need? Like, if you've got whatever you've got, like you said earlier, DMAC, people like toggle to like only punt these things, turn your punts off. Just and then look at the best available player, and then you can take them. But I need more assists. Really? Do you need that many assists if you're going to pick up Isaiah Collier with your 140th pick? And he's going to be getting you 8 assists a game, which is like double what most players in the NBA that your next rival is going to be taking after you've already taken 20 off the board with your first 2 picks. You're probably looking really good there. And you want to lean into the field goal percentage punt right there, because we'll wrap the show on this one. There is a bunch of guys, and I'll be honest, I omitted Donovan Mitchell for a particular reason. And you know how much I love Don. In fact, Skitty, shout out to Jake Skidmore over at the Ball Logic podcast. My boy, Skitty, he knows I love Don Mitchell. I haven't mentioned him because for me, it's really hard to get him because he's either going in the first round right now or he's going early in the second round right now. There's just this like temperance on Don we've done in the ADP show that's not there. But the guys who are definitely there at the end of the first or early second, who you can complement, because if Don goes in the first round, well, then you're stuffed. And I don't think you should take him in the first round by the new year. I think he's definitely a second rounder. Definitely a second rounder, mid to late second round. But the guys who are coming up in the first round or in the second round 9 are the guards, who are Devin Booker, who's creeping around the first round, and Edwards is 100% now solidified himself as a first round. So we're looking to think about who we can complement. It's either Ant or Steph, who's the end of the first round. Who are we complementing them with? And the guys who are still around or even deep into the third round are Devin Booker and Jalen Brunson. They both punt field goal percentage and rebounds. They lean points, 3 points made. And you can either punt one of 2 things here, depending on who you get. You can punt your free throw percentage a little, so you can lean your free throw percentage, or you can lean into your assists. Because these guys can dish out assists if we believe in point guard Booker. They're all playmakers, as you saw, that we just saw in the hashtag basketball rankings there. We'll bring him back up, DMAC, especially by way of Jalen Brunson. But there's just a bunch of guards at the end of the first round who we can look to complement this year and really build off, including, like we said, the Don Mitchells of the world.
Absolutely. Like we said, there's going to be a lot of scrambling going for these point guards as well. So I think you really need to get these guys early. You need to invest quite early in these types of guys. But there's just so many different ways that you can build your team based on the type of guard that you get. Like we said, it's a bit of a balancing act. You can go the hard punt, you can go the soft punt, you can go completely balanced. But yeah, leaning a certain way, the soft punt is a really nice strategy.
And you can see right here in the second round right now, we've seen the ADP value for Donovan Mitchell. And let's talk about some of these guys. We've talked about Tyler Hero. Could you pick him up? Yeah, but he's going so late, you can get him in the third round. Like, this is why I said you could focus in on him. Guys here like Donovan Mitchell, he is at 21th ranking overall in the second round. Look, I love him. He is right here, but his assists aren't that high. We'll see maybe a little bit of those with Darius Garland coming out. But we can get Darius Garland later, put him in IR, operate out of that spot for the season, and get more assists. So that's what I would be looking to do there. But what we're talking about as well when we're talking about positional scarcity with these guys is we want to back it up with some of those guards again. So when we're looking to get one of these guys, we can back it up with Donovan Mitchell very, very easily. He's still on the board. He's one of the other guys that we can get around this point in time. We can get guys like Tyler Hero, Jamal Murray's of the world. We can get guys like Darius Garland late, or, they're about, even people who are playing around and flirting with the idea of Derek White, mate. They're about, but these guys seem to be the ones who are the most consistent first rounders right now, going off the board, and how we can back them up in the second round. Or in Jalen Brunson's case, we're even seeing him go late in the third round, which is kind of crazy. You could get three of these guys.
Unless you're playing in the ESPN, his ADP is a first round, which is absolutely ridiculous because he wasn't even that in points leagues, which we know, of course, ESPN leans towards points leagues. That's crazy. It'll normalize as we approach October 21. But for now, there's a lot of value on the board, and it's important to know your ADPs because that'll dictate how you go about looking for your pairs, going into draft. And we don't say I'm going to go and necessarily punt this, but having those scenarios in mind, letting that play out, have some notes as well. Look at your perfect pairs. If I go this way, this is the guy, or this is the type of guy that I'm trying to go as well. But having an understanding of ADP is essential as you go into drafts.
And there's one guy that I've held back on talking about because I'm really excited for his third round potential. Who could back up this. And if you could solidify this in the first 3 rounds, you could be laughing. And it's really hard to do because what you want to make sure that you're doing with these positions right here with these guards is you want to be making sure that they qualify for point guard and shooting guard eligibility. And we don't talk about eligibility enough. If you just lean into the guys who are only available for point guard, you jam yourself up because you've got your point guard slot in most leagues, your shooting guard spot, and then your guard spot. If you can complement a point guard shooting guard like Ant Edwards or Devin Booker, because apparently Ant will be point guard possible. Steph Curry's just whatever you can get. Jalen Brunson's a point guard. He's just a PG. But the dual eligibility is really, really important because then if you can slog down a guy who has dual eligibility, you can just interchange your guards on your bench and then just feed your mids and your wings like so easily with all these guys. Because the one guy that I have not mentioned is one Tyrese Maxiell. I'm excited by him. I've mentioned Hero in the other pod. Make sure, again, you go back and check out that Fantrax Top 50 show. D-Mac and I chat up about Tyler Hero a little bit and other guards. Mate, for me, one of the most curious late second rounder, early third round prospects for me is a guy who's shown that he can be first round value at the point guard spot, and it's Tyrese Maxiell.
Yeah, we spoke about him as potentially being the third option, or is he potentially the first option on this team? He's probably second, to be honest. We're not sure if Embiid's going to move aside and let Tyrese run the show. But yeah, I like his output just for the fact that there's always going to be those health concerns with Embiid and PG8. I was going to say PG13, but Paul George is also someone that we can't really trust coming into this season.
Look, I go down everything, whether his projections and what he does per game, his blended scores. This guy is elite at free throws. He's very good at threes. He's very good at points. He's very good at assists. He's very good at steals. Like, he gets you everything. He fills your cup in the complementary categories. And the fact that he exists in the third round, if you miss one of these guys and you think better to yourself that you're going to take someone else, Tyrese Maxiell is falling around. And on projections right now, he is going anywhere from the 26th pick. So he's falling outside the second round into the early third round. So he is a great SGA backup, by the way. Like, if you're picking this guy in SGA up, dang.
Yeah, it's scary.
That is
scary proposition to go up against. Fantrax has him at 21.3. ESPN has him at 19.0 at the moment. So, yep, end of second round.
End of second round. This is someone who I haven't spoken about yet because I've also started to see him fall. And then I've seen him rise. And then I've seen him fall again. And what was that again? He is at 20. He's just at the end of the second round.
21.3. Yep.
At Fantrax. So he's at 21.3 right now. What's ESPN got him at?
19.0.
And this is because he's a points player. So you love the points that he brings. You love the overall categories that he brings. This is someone right now that if he's falling to me in the third round, which we've seen him go in some analyst drafts even, Tyrese Maxiell is really, really tasty for me. He's just not at the back end of that first, second round block right now. So for me, it's like getting one of these more name guys because Tyrese Maxiell also has the injuries from the end of last year, which has taken him out of the equation a little bit, D-Mac.
I think so. And we saw that with Jalen Johnson. These mock drafts are happening. Some people are not scrolling down and seeing Tyrese Maxiell and Jalen Johnson. And they're being left until later because we've just sort of forgot about them. It's the opposite of recency bias. And again, as we said, as we approach October 21 opening night, that ADP is just going to creep up and creep up. So, yeah, popular, really nice value, I think, at the end of the second round. He may go a little bit higher. So that's just where we need to be mindful of that because who knows, if Embiid and Paul George stay fit, it probably does hit Maxi's value. So be mindful, be excited, but also be mindful.
I would just love to hear these random rumors that Paul George has had like the DNA of baby's knees, like injected from utero with the youth serum of whatever injected into his knees, and he's good to go for the season. And then he recommended Joel on a trout fishing trip. And you know what I mean? Like, what does Paul George do? Apparently he's a big fisher person. He's like, yeah, no, I don't know where you fish in Philadelphia. But it's like, you know, like, yeah. Joel's done it too. Like they've both got these, their knees are about as smooth as babies' bums right now. And they go out and they're healthy. That actually does you a service in fantasy because Tyrese Maxiell is going to be the guy that I'm focused on. And if I can get him at value on draft day, I'm absolutely looking to him. D-Mac, thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen,
like and subscribe. D-Mac, where can everybody catch you?
Catch me over on YouTube and on Twitter is where I do a lot of my work, NBA Fantasy Bible. And of course, we'll be on Believe in Fantasy Basketball Network for quite some time, my friend. A lot more content coming your way.
You absolutely do. You can catch me at NBAGWiz on X, but also like and subscribe on Instagram for more graphic content we've got. And we've got something cooking in the lab that will be announced very, very soon. But in the meantime, make sure you do all of the things for Believe in Fantasy Basketball. I am Matty G. That is D-Mac. This is Believe in Fantasy. We're going to help you win your season.